lesson 2 is entitled Relations. And they start out by looking at the coordinate grid system. And we already know that this is the y-axis. We did a bunch of work with the y-axis last chapter with the y-intercepts. And we know that this is the x-axis. And if you can't remember which one is which, alphabetically, we said x comes before y, right, in our coordinate system. And the, excuse me, the horizontal comes alphabetically first before vertical. So horizontally, think about the horizon, you're going across your screen. Vertical, how tall are you? You're going up and down. So you have your x and your y. And we can plot points in our coordinate grid in all different areas. There's 4 different areas, the 4 quadrants. And this might be new to you. The quadrant numbering system starts in this corner up here, where both of them are positives, and it goes counterclockwise. So this is quadrant 2, and we use Roman numerals to designate the different quadrants. So quadrant 1, counterclockwise, quadrant 2, we continue around, that's quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. So 1 and 2 are where the y coordinate is positive. 3 and 4 is where the y coordinate is negative. So we have these quadrants, we have our different points in there. There's 2 other words that we're going to talk about today when we're talking about relations, and that's domain and range. The domain is any value you can put in for x. So it's your x values is the domain. And your range is what you get out for your y coordinate. And I'm using these different terms of what you get out, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you can't remember which one goes with which again, think about alphabetically. Domain, range. D comes before R, domain goes with the x coordinate, range goes with the y coordinate. So everything is staying alphabetically here. Now we're talking, this whole chapter is about functions, and a function is a special type of relation. But even if we just have relations, I can think of this as my machine. I'm going to put something into my machine here. I'm going to put a value in, an x value in. That's why I say what you can put in for x. Whatever you can put into this machine does a process. In this case, it's going to be that we're going to add 3 onto the x. And what we get out of that machine is the y value. So I can make a table for this machine. I can pick any numbers that I want for x. I can put those individual numbers into this machine. I can add 3 on to the x that I put in, and when I put -1 in there and add 3 on, I get 2. When I put 0 in, add 3 on, I get 3. When I put 5 in, I add 3 on and I get 8. So we're creating a table of ordered pairs following this rule. So we have our relation between x and y is the rule x plus 3. These three values, if this is all that's given to me in the table, and they ask me what my domain is, my domain will be the set of numbers -1, 0, and 5. It's just those values if they give you this table. The range is a set of numbers 2, 3, and 8, and just those. So I have a value of x that's in the domain. I have a value of y that corresponds to that x that's in the range. Okay? Okay. So if I give you these sets of ordered pairs, okay, can you convert those ordered pairs to a table? Our first x is -5. What's our y that goes with -5? 2. Second x is 3. The y that goes with that is -1. The third x is 6. The y is 2. And the last one is 1 and 7. Can you plot those ordered pairs on a graph?
Yes.
Yes, Gianna says yes, you can. Remember, your x is going horizontally, so we're going back 5 units and up 2 units. So we're at that point. 3, 1 is over here. 6, 2 is right there. And 1, 7 is way up there. So we can take those ordered pairs, make a table, we can put them on a graph. If there was some kind of relation between the x and the y, we could come up with a rule. In this case, I don't really see any relation between the x and the y, so I'm not going to worry about coming up with a rule. Okay. So a movie rental story. Movie rental store charges $3.95 per movie rental. Can you create a table that will tell me how much you're going to be charged for X number of movies? Well, for one movie rental, what are you going to be charged? Yes, you're going to be charged $3.95. You're correct. For two movie rentals, you're going to be charged $7.90. Oh, you guys are really good at this. For 3 movie rentals, you're going to be charged $11.85, and so on. So if we're making a graph, we're not going to have to worry about any of these quadrants 2, 3, and 4, are we? Are we going to ever talk about renting a negative number of movies? No, we're not. We can only rent a positive number. And are we going to be charged a negative amount of money when we rent a positive number of movies? No. So we only have to worry about that first quadrant. And a lot of times in your real life situations, you're only going to have to worry about graphing on the first quadrant. So here's 1. Here's $4.
Do we have to graph it in the homework?
Yep. So I'm going to make a scale on here of 4, 8, and 12. And I only have 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to put those in there. There's 1, 2, and 3. And look, it makes a straight line. 2. So I could come up with a relation between those two. And my relation is that the charge is equal to the number of movies times $3.95. Remember when I said the word per movie? That relates to what in our equation? Y-intercept or slope? Yes, you're right. It is the slope. I know it's too early for you guys, but I have to get excited. So y equals 395x. $3.95 is our slope because it is right in front of the x. And we know that from last chapter. And Mrs. Reed is just going crazy this morning.
So crazy.
So crazy. Yes. So x is domain, y is range. You have 4 different quadrants that we're going to talk about. They go counterclockwise, starting with the upper right quadrant. You can make a chart. You can graph things out. You can make a chart into ordered pairs. And that's really all this lesson is about, is going from chart to ordered pairs to graph to talking about domain and the range. And it should be a relatively, I'm going to say it's a lot easier than the last chapter. They're not asking you to come up with the relationship between them. They're just asking you to say there is some kind of relationship. We don't know what it is, but we're going to just look at those order pairs and the graphs. Questions?